Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really captivating and honestly sometimes quite heartbreaking exploration of a classic piece of literature.
Hmm.
It's set in a specific time and place, but it resonates so deeply with these timeless human struggles. We're unpacking Lao She Jiangzi's Predicament and Shifting Prospects.
Yeah, it's a powerful one.
Our mission for this deep dive is really to unpack that crushing weight of fate versus, individual ambition. We
Mhm.
want to truly understand the nature of resilience and examine the sometimes, well, illusory grip of hope as we follow Shangzi through some incredibly pivotal moments in his life.
And what's remarkable, I think, is how these selected chapters, even though they're firmly rooted in uh, early 20th century old Beijing,
Yeah.
they just illuminate struggles that feel profoundly personal and really relevant to us even today.
It-
We'll be looking at how Xiangzi, who's a rickshaw puller, how he navigates his really demanding world and what his journey reveals to you, our listener, about perseverance, maybe the necessity of compromise sometimes, that relentless pursuit of dignity, and the intricate complexities of human relationships, especially when you're confronted with these harsh realities of urban struggle.
Absolutely.
Our source material comes directly from Lao. She's seminal novel,
Yeah.
Rickshaw Boy, specifically chapters 6 through 10.
Yeah.
And these aren't just, fictional events. They serve as a powerful lens, really, through which to examine these universal human experiences.
Indeed. So let's just dive right in. Let's immerse ourselves in Jiangzi's immediate state right after he loses his painstakingly saved money. It's early autumn, it's cool night, stars are out, but Jiangzi feels utterly stifled. It's as if the air were insufficient, like his broad chest just can't draw enough air to breathe.
Hmm.
He longs simply to sit down and have a good cry. And this isn't just physical exhaustion, it's a profound emotional burden.
Right. It's deeper.
Despite his immense physical strength, his incredible patience, his, formidable will, he feels utterly diminished. He feels treated like a pig or a dog, unable to maintain a single thing he holds dear.
Mm-hmm.
This feeling goes beyond just anger at the Yang family, the ones who wronged him. It's described as a vague sense of hopelessness, a crushing, almost existential fear that he'll never amount to anything.
That's heavy.
And this internal despair, it actually manifests physically. He walks slower and slower, burdened by his bedding roll. He's no longer the Jiangzi who could effortlessly run 10 li or 8 li. That's, about 5 kilometers at
Yeah.
the drop of a hat?
Yeah, the vitality is gone.
You can almost feel the psychological weight just slowing him down, bearing down on every single step. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? How often do we feel our own strength isn't enough against life's relentless obstacles?
Mm.
How do those big setbacks impact our very sense of self-identity, our core being?
That internal collapse you mentioned,
Yeah.
mirroring his physical slowdown, that's a really critical observation. As he's navigating the empty streets, the bright streetlights, they ironically make the city feel empty and vast, just amplifying his profound sense of being adrift.
Yeah, the loneliness.
He doesn't know where to go, yet sort of instinctively his feet lead him back to Renhe Rickshaw Yard. But this return, it's fraught with this searing sense of loss of face.
Right. Huge in that culture.
Huge. He feels sad because his lowly efforts to save for his own rickshaw, his entire ambition, really ended up being just a 3.5-day affair, like a fleeting triumph.
So quick.
Which makes him feel like those old scoundrels who habitually frequented mansions, constantly making and breaking deals, always on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
He almost felt ashamed to re-enter the Renhe Rickshaw Yard, dreading the ridicule, the whispers of, oh, Camel Shangzi, turns out he also just quit after 3.5 days.
The judgment.
And this immediately prompts us to consider, right, how deeply is our drive tied to external validation or that perceived success? And how does losing face, that public perception of our failures, how does it impact our ability to just move forward, to even show ourselves in the world?
Mm-hmm.
For Xiangzi, his personal failure becomes this public humiliation.
And the Renhe Rickshaw Yard itself, this place he's so ashamed to go back to, it embodies this potent contradiction. Outwardly, it's designed for respectability, 3 storefronts, a central counter room strictly for business, the Liu family's private quarters.
Looks impressive.
Right. The rickshaw gate with its 2 dark green painted doors secured by a thick iron bar. It's lit up by a bright, unshaded electric light that prominently spotlights the Renhe Rickshaw Yard sign.
Making a statement.
Exactly. The deep green paint and gold characters, they glow. And the beautiful rickshaws, black or yellow, all shiny with these snow white seat covers, they create this powerful illusion of status.
Hmm.
They're meant to make drivers feel proud, like nobles among rickshaw pullers, which is such a stark contrast to their actual social standing.
Yeah, the reality versus the image.
Inside, it's a square courtyard. There's an old locust tree, open sheds for the cars, and these small rooms for dormitories. The striking detail here is just the chasm between this outward appearance of dignity, almost nobility, for these rickshaw pullers, symbolized by the shiny rickshaws and the grand yard. And then Xiangzi's inner turmoil, his profound feeling of worthlessness and crushing despair. It's a carefully constructed facade that he now feels he has utterly failed to uphold.
And it's into this space at a very late hour, around 11 o'clock, that Jiangzi spots that extremely bright yet strangely lonely light of Renhe. Only Hunyi's room, the west room, is lit. So Yangzi's immediate strategy is to try and slip in lightly and stealthily.
Again.
Yeah, desperate to avoid Hunyi seeing his failure first. And why her specifically? Because she usually thought highly of him, and her witnessing his dejected state would just amplify his humiliation. But fate, as it so often does in Jiangzi's life, it intervenes. She emerges just as he reaches her window, her initial greeting, "Yo, Shuangzi," how it just abruptly dissolves into silence as she takes in his dejected look and sees the betting roll, the unmistakable sign of his failure.
That moment.
Yeah. This is such a pivotal moment. Xiangzi's carefully constructed world of self-reliance, his pride, his whole vision for independence, it just begins to crumble, and it forces him into an encounter he desperately wants to avoid, an encounter that will irrevocably redefine his path forward.
It's not just the unavoidable encounter either, but Hunyu's unexpected appearance that further disorients him. She looks strikingly different. Her face is much whiter than usual. He wonders if it's the electric light or maybe powder. And this unusual paleness surprisingly softens her usually fierce demeanor.
Interesting. A change.
Yeah, and even more jarring, there's rouge on her lips, adding some charm, a quality he has never associated with her before.
Right. He doesn't see her that way.
Exactly. Xiangzi finds this extremely strange, becoming even more flustered, precisely because he had never regarded her as a woman. The red lips make him suddenly feel a bit embarrassed. Think about that. A man who faces the brutal streets without fear is made profoundly uncomfortable by a woman's lipstick.
Throws him off completely.
Her attire also signals a striking shift. A light green silk jacket and black crepe loose trousers. The jacket's soft, slightly melancholy, silky sheen and the white waistband beneath add to this new, unsettling image. The trousers sway slightly in the breeze like some gloomy air, almost having a life of their own. Xiangzi's internal conflict is palpable. He dares not look any longer, utterly confused by this new and strange thing, both familiar and unfamiliar.
Yeah.
It's like seeing a familiar landmark suddenly bathed in an unsettling new light. It's the same, but profoundly different, throwing his entire internal compass off balance.
His profound discomfort, it signals a critical challenge to his rigid internal moral framework. He feels troubled and helpless in that extremely bright light with this new and strange living thing. He desperately wants Hunyu to just leave, or at least to order him to do something, anything, to end this indescribable yet very difficult torment. Hunyu, though, keenly sensing his vulnerability, immediately takes charge. "Hey," she steps closer, speaking softly, almost alluringly. "Don't just stand there. Go put the rickshaw down and come back quickly. I have something to tell you. See you inside."
Wow, the command.
Right. Jiangzi, conditioned to helping her and obeying her commands within the business of the yard, he reluctantly complies. But he registers a crucial shift. Today she was different. He wants to think, to process, but he feels awkward just standing there, so he pulls the rickshaw in. And the eerie silence of the south room where everyone else is asleep just underscores the absolute isolation of this moment.
Yeah, just the two of them.
This interaction immediately highlights the insidious dynamics of power and subtle coercion, even within what might appear to be, ordinary exchanges. Xiangzi is physically strong, a formidable man, but emotionally, he's profoundly adrift, making him vulnerable to Hunyu's unexpected assertion of influence.
And once he's inside Hunyu's room, the unsettling atmosphere only intensifies. The room itself is described in rich detail. Unripe white pears, a wine pot, 3 white porcelain wine cups, and a large plate with half a sauced chicken and some smoked liver and sausage. It's like a feast.
Yeah, quite the spread.
Hunyu invites him to eat, telling him she's eating a reward today. She then pours him baijiu, that potent, spicy Chinese liquor. "Drink it," she insists. "Eat this chicken. I've already eaten, no need to be polite. I just used dominoes to tell a fortune, and I knew you'd come back. Wasn't it accurate?
Using divination. Interesting.
Shangzi, a man of strict discipline and abstinence, refuses the alcohol, but Hunyu immediately pivots to overt coercion. If you don't drink, get out. What, don't you appreciate my good intentions, you foolish camel? It won't kill you. Even I can drink 4 liang, that's about 200 grams, a significant amount.
Wow, that's a lot.
If you don't believe me, watch. She takes a large gulp, then demands he drink, threatening to twist your ears and force it down.
Gee, she's forceful.
Shangzi is filled with resentment, but finds no outlet for it. He rationalizes, remembering that Hunyu had always been good to him in her own way and straightforward with everyone. He feels he shouldn't offend her.
Right, trying to keep the peace.
So he drinks the baijiu, feeling the spicy heat move down and burping, a small involuntary sign of his discomfort. The situation takes a really sharp turn here. Hunyu laughs, then, almost casually, reveals her father, Lu Sai, is visiting an aunt for her birthday for 2 or 3 days, leaving them completely alone.
Oh boy.
Alarm bell. Exactly. This information immediately triggers a turn in Shangzi's mind, a subtle but distinct sense of something amiss. This revelation, combined with Hunyu's new closeness, her clean clothes, and those startling red lips, creates a new stimulation. Despite her perceived ugliness, she has added some vitality, becoming another person with something more. He's utterly flustered, incapable of clear thought or refusal.
Wait, alcohol kicking in too, maybe?
Definitely. He drinks more, his face reddening, completely forgetting his original plan to complain about his troubles. Hunyu, in his alcohol-clouded mind, transforms into an abstract something, a hot, spicy force. Shangzi, disarmed and disoriented, feels strangely brave, desiring to immediately grasp a new experience and pleasure. His fear of her evaporates, replaced by a strange feeling of power or maybe control over her.
A dangerous shift.
Then, abruptly, the lights go out. The night sky is dark with falling stars, a sort of cosmic indifference to the intensely personal drama unfolding below. This pivotal encounter leaves us wondering, what internal battles are truly being fought here? Is this consent, coercion, or some complex, disturbing cocktail of both, fueled by vulnerability and desperation?
That complex dynamic you just highlighted, that mix of consent and coercion, it profoundly sets the stage for the morning after. Shangzi wakes early, his head and throat aching from his first real experience with alcohol. But he quickly dismisses the physical pain, knowing it'll pass.
Right, the physical is secondary.
The true torment lies in other matters in his heart that choke him, matters with no way to resolve them. The previous night fills him with this suffocating blend of doubt, shame, sorrow, and a sense of danger. The shocking revelation for him is that he realizes Hunyu was no longer a virgin just hours before. This fundamentally shakes him.
Right, because he respected her.
Exactly. He respected her and had never heard anything improper about her, despite her straightforward and sometimes aggressive way. This just shatters his prior perception of her and profoundly impacts his rigid moral code, especially his idealized vision of the future.
Precisely. This is the brutal collision of a country boy's deeply ingrained moral code with the heart-ambiguous realities of city life. Shangzi's suspicions are immediate and intense. He questions Hunyu's intentions. Was she sincerely waiting for him, or would anyone have done in his place?
That doubt must be agonizing.
His ideal of marriage, deeply rooted in his countryside upbringing, is just irrevocably shattered. He'd always dreamt of buying his own rickshaw, then marrying a young, strong, hardworking girl from the country, someone pure and innocent.
The ideal woman.
He prides himself on his strict self-discipline, especially avoiding White House's brothels, seeing it as both a financial waste and something that weakens you. He wants to be decent and proper for his future pure and innocent wife.
He holds himself to a high standard.
He does. The crushing realization regarding Hunyu is devastating. If she were merely a friend, she was indeed good. But as a woman, as a potential wife, she was ugly, old, fierce, and shameless. Wow, harsh judgment.
Incredibly harsh. He finds her even more hateful than the soldiers who stole his rickshaw, the ones who nearly killed him.
That's saying something.
For him, she had utterly destroyed that fresh, clean spirit he brought from the countryside. He was now a man who stole women.
Oof, stole women.
That phrase, stole women, is crucial because it speaks to his self-perception, how this incident fundamentally redefines him within his own rigid moral universe. This represents a profound collision of traditional values with the morally ambiguous realities of urban existence, forcing Shangzi to confront an intensely personal compromise. The fear of exposure immediately haunts him. What if Lu Sai finds out? Does he already know his daughter is damaged goods, as Jiangxi so crudely puts it?
He wouldn't want that shame.
No. Jiangxi desperately doesn't want to shoulder the black pot alone. This leads to a profound moral dilemma. If Lu Sai knows and doesn't care, what kind of people were they?
Right, questioning their character.
Shimengzi feels he cannot associate with such people, even if Lu Sai owns 60 or 600 or 6,000 rickshaws. His integrity, his deeply held sense of personal righteousness is paramount here. He resolves fiercely that he must immediately leave Renhe Rickshaw Yard and sever ties completely.
A clean break.
He clings to the belief that his own ability will ultimately allow him to buy a rickshaw, marry a wife, and be righteous and honorable. This thought, this renewed resolve, makes him feel like a hero, with nothing to fear, nothing to worry about, convinced he will succeed as long as he works hard. It's a defiant reassertion of his core identity in the face of immense personal shame.
Yet this renewed strength, this heroic resolve, it proves to be incredibly fragile, doesn't it? Despite his fierce determination, the awkwardness, the deep internal conflict relentlessly returns. This issue is different from all others, not easily forgotten.
It sticks with him.
It's like a persistent stain. It was as if something had clung to his body and a black spot had appeared in his heart, which could never be washed away.
Wow, powerful imagery.
No matter how much he resented or disliked her, Huni seemed to always hold his heart, suddenly appearing naked in his mind, giving him all her ugliness and beauty at once, like buying a pile of junk, where even amidst the worthless stuff, there are a few shiny things you can't just refuse.
A complicated mix.
This intimacy, though sudden and initially a lure, cannot be forgotten. It naturally lingered in his heart, as if rooted there. It's an indescribable disturbance, leaving him utterly at a loss. The text uses a particularly vivid image. He feels like a small insect caught in a spider web, struggling too late, inextricably caught in a trap he cannot escape.
That analogy of the spiderweb is striking because it highlights Jiangxi's entanglement not just as physical but as a mental and emotional trap, an internal black hole he can't escape. He pulls rickshaws in a daze, his mind constantly replaying thoughts of Huniyu, the incident, the indelible stain on his conscience.
Consumed by it.
Totally. He longs to drink himself senseless again, to erase the memory, but dares not, refusing to destroy himself for this matter. His dream of buying a rickshaw, his central aim, feels blocked by this something that sneaks out and occupies his heart like a dark cloud covering the sun.
Casting a shadow over everything.
By evening, he's even sadder, dreading the return to the rickshaw yard. He circles the streets like a child skipping school. Yet despite his desire to avoid her, there's this strange magnetic pull. The darker the night, the stronger this urge became.
Drawn back to the source of his pain.
Yeah, a boldness and confusion compel him forward, like wanting to poke a hornet's nest, feeling an irresistible force. This describes the insidious coercion of unresolved trauma and powerful emotional conflict.
That push and pull, that internal battle, is so powerfully depicted. He eventually decides on a direct approach. He returns to Shanmen, determined to confront her, seeing her now as just a woman, not the terrifying figure he'd made her out to be in his mind.
Trying to regain control.
Right. He feels hot all over with this newfound resolve. And right at this critical juncture, as he's heading towards a confrontation, a crucial meeting occurs. He encounters a man of about 40 who recognizes him. Jiangxi.
Ah, a quist.
It's Mr. Cao, his former employer, asking if he's not working at a mansion to come back. His current worker is apparently lazy.
A lifeline.
Exactly. This is a dramatic turning point. Just as Jiangxi feels utterly defeated, this lifeline appears. He's offered work the day after tomorrow, using Mr. Cao's own rickshaw. Jiangxi is so happy he almost forgot how to smile, wiping his face constantly. The contrast between his despair and this sudden, unexpected relief is just profound.
A huge swing.
His past troubles are suddenly swept away like a white stone road after a heavy rain, as if a cleansing storm has passed. His renewed mission is clear. He immediately heads for Renhe Rickshaw Yard, planning to tell Hunyu he found new work, pay his rickshaw fee, get his savings, and finally sever ties completely. He now has a new plan, a new tangible hope.
So he returns to the yard, and Hunyu's room is still lit, like a beacon for his new resolve. He stands there, mustering his courage, then decides to enter. He leaves his rickshaw, calls for Miss Liu. Hunyu's reaction is telling. She's reclining on the bed, dressed normally, barefoot, and his character says, "How's that? Did you get a taste of sweetness or what?"
Oh, that casual intimacy just cuts him down.
Yeah, right. Shangxi's attempt at a dignified exit is met with this casual, intimate jab that immediately disarms him. His face turns red as a birthday egg as he awkwardly reveals his new work. He stutters. "I've found new work, starting the day after tomorrow. The family has their own rickshaw." Huni cuts him off with a fierce response. "You little rascal don't know what's good for you." She sits up, half smiling, half angry.
The mask slips.
She then lays out her counteroffer, a manipulative blend of feigned affection and outright control. "Here you have food, here you have clothes. Do you have to go sweat it out to feel satisfied? My old man can't control me. I won't be a spinster all my life. Even if the old man is stubborn, I have some personal savings. We could get 2 or 3 rickshaws, earn a few yuan a day. Isn't that better than you running around the streets all day with stinky legs? What's wrong with me? Besides being a little older than you, not much. But I can protect you and love you."
Wow, laying it all out there. But his defense is utterly weak in comparison to her aggressive persuasion. "I want to pull rickshaws."
Yeah, clinging to his dream.
She taunts him. "A true steamed bun head. Sit down. I won't bite you." She laughs, revealing tiger teeth. Then comes the crucial money question. Jiangzi, veins throbbing, asks for his money back, the savings entrusted to Lu Sai.
The big leverage point.
Who deflects, saying Lu Sai has it, it's safe, but he shouldn't ask for it now because of Lu Sai's temper. She guarantees he'll get it when he has enough to buy a rickshaw, adding, "If you ask now, he'll definitely curse you till your soul leaves your body. He's good to you. It won't be lost. If one is short, I'll pay you 2. You country bumpkin, don't let me insult you anymore."
Controlling the narrative, controlling the money.
Jiangzi, defeated, places his 2 days' rickshaw fees on the table, saying, "This counts as returning the rickshaw today. I'll rest tomorrow." He has no intention of resting, only of making a clean break. But Hunio has one last, calculated move. She shoves the money back into his pocket. "These 2 days, both rickshaw and person are free. You little rascal, have some luck. Just don't be ungrateful." Then, decisively, she locks the door.
Wow. Trapped. Huni's tactics here are just a masterclass in leveraging vulnerability and control. She systematically binds Yamzi through this twisted blend of feigned affection, financial manipulation, and veiled threats. It really proves that control isn't always overt, right? It's often deeply psychological. She understands his values, his pride, his desire for independence, and cleverly uses them against him, leaving him with virtually no immediate escape route.
With Huni's trap tightening, Jiangzi finds this temporary respite at Cao's residence. He feels a bit ashamed about Hunyu, but he rationalizes that cutting ties is acceptable since, well, she initiated it, and he doesn't covet her money. His main worry, however, remains his savings with Lu Sai. Asking for it now might upset Lu Sai and ruin his new, fragile start.
Yeah, delicate situation.
Not asking means dealing with Hunyu and potentially losing the money if she gets angry. He feels restless, truly caught between a rock and a hard place. But despite this lingering worry, Cao Sanyi's house proves to be the most lovable among the mansions he's worked at. The wages aren't necessarily higher, but the Cao family treats everyone like a person. This is profoundly significant for Jiangzi.
Dignity. It means so much.
Exactly. He values a good living space and quality food, and Cao's is meticulously clean, even servants' quarters. Food is good, never rotten. He has a spacious room and 3 peaceful meals. For Jiangzi, it's about more than just money here. The work isn't tiring, allowing him to maintain his health and formidable strength, which for a rickshaw puller is a direct investment in his livelihood. He eats better than he would on his own, a substantial benefit.
Practical advantages, too.
And there are also small kindnesses. The Cao family doesn't gamble or entertain much, so fewer tips, but they offer small, consistent acts of human decency. Mrs. Cao gives him extra money to take a rickshaw when buying medicine for the child, even though she knows he's fast enough to run. They offer kind words when he tidies the yard or waters plants. They even give him old things to exchange for matches, which he can keep for himself.
Just basic human respect.
He feels a rare sense of human decency here, a stark contrast to other employers who often delay wages or treat servants like cats and dogs. This household provides a powerful counterpoint to the predatory world outside and Huni's machinations. It represents a rare glimpse of a truly benevolent employer and a stable, dignified life that Jiangzi so desperately craves.
It truly is an oasis for him. In Shangzi's eyes, he perceives Li Xiai as Huang Tianba, a legendary Chinese folk hero known for strength and sometimes ruthless but ultimately honorable nature. And for civilized people, he holds a deep respect for Confucius. He doesn't precisely know who Confucius is, but he believes he knew many characters and was reasonable.
His own interpretation.
Exactly. Among all his employers, Cao Sanya is unique in being both educated and reasonable. And Mrs. Cao is also kind. Zhangzi concludes, therefore, that Mr. Cao must be Confucius.
Elevating him.
Yeah. In reality, Cao Sanya is not a genius, just a middle-ranking individual who sometimes teaches or does other things. He calls himself a socialist and aestheticist, influenced by William Morris, and has no profound insights in politics or art. But he lives his values. That's his core virtue. He practices what he believes in the small events of life. He knows he lacks astonishing talent for earth-shattering deeds, so he meticulously arranges his work and family life to align with his ideals, even if it's just a small oasis in the desert, providing clear water and food, but with no greater meaning.
Humble but decent?
Shemsi, though, having walked so many days in the desert of hardship, experiences this oasis as a miracle. He considers Cao Sanya a sage. This is such a beautiful example of how perception profoundly shapes reality. Xiongzi, in his desperation for kindness and stability, elevates Cao Sanya to this near-mythical status, powerfully highlighting the deep human need for compassion and fairness in a relentlessly harsh world.
Yet, despite this newfound peace, the twin burdens of the woman and the money keep him from true tranquility. His heart is described like a green leaf wrapped in silk by an insect, preparing to form a cocoon, trapped and undergoing this unwelcome transformation.
Feeling constricted.
He's distracted, answering irrelevantly to others, even to Cao Sanye, who notices his preoccupation. At night, in the quiet of Cao's early sleeping household, he sits alone, tirelessly replaying the two pressing issues: Hunyu and his trapped savings. He even considers marrying immediately to deter Hunyu, but the thought is quickly quashed by the fear that he can't support a family as a rickshaw puller, not in the dignified way he envisions. And he simply cannot afford to lose his hard-earned savings.
Back in the trap.
The bitter truth dawns on him. Over a year after buying his own rickshaw, he now has nothing but over 30 yuan he couldn't get back and a lot of entanglement. As autumn deepens, he desperately needs warm clothes. Again, money. But buying clothes means less for a rickshaw. It's a relentless, vicious cycle that constantly drains his resources and his hope. Then, one late night, Cao Sanya returns home. Shangzi may be needing to release his pent-up energy, maybe just finding a momentary escape. He runs. He feels liberated, forgetting his worry.
The moment of freedom.
The cool wind on his chest, the rhythmic sound of his footsteps, and the rickshaw wheels propel him forward. He runs faster as if his feet were two springs, the rickshaw wheels blurring, seemingly lifted by the wind. It's a rare moment of pure, unadulterated freedom and power.
Fleeting, though.
So fleeting, because then suddenly his foot hits something raised. He tumbles, the rickshaw handle breaks. Cao Sanya falls out, fortunately unharmed. The culprit, a newly unloaded pile of road-mending stones, but crucially, no red lamp to warn drivers, a glaring oversight.
Negligence.
This accident is deeply symbolic. Just as Jiangzi feels momentarily free and powerful, the hidden systemic obstacles of his life, much like the unseen stones, trip him up. It causes not only physical injury, but also a devastating blow to his spirit and his carefully constructed sense of control. It's fate's cruel reminder that the world is indifferent to individual aspirations.
And his immediate concern after the fall isn't himself, but his master. He asks, "Did you fall?" completely disregarding his own injuries. He quickly realizes the handle is broken, but insists, "It's not broken much, sir can still sit, I can pull." It's a desperate attempt to maintain his usefulness, his value.
Trying to salvage the situation.
At a streetlight, Cao Sanya sees his own hand is grazed, but then notices Shangzi's face is full of blood. Shangzi, in his daze, misinterprets Cao Sanyi's concern, thinking he wants him to run faster and races home, misunderstanding out of panic. Once home, Shangzi runs to get medicine for Cao Sanya, who tells him to look at himself first. It's only then that Shangzi feels the searing pain, seeing his broken knees, right elbow, blood on his face. The reality hits. This is immediately followed by a crushing sense of shame and responsibility. He sits on the stone steps, staring blankly at the broken rickshaw. The brand-new black-lacquered rickshaw now has two stark white wood splinters, ugly and incongruous. This sight pierces his heart, a visceral representation of his shattered pride.
And what follows is a moment of profound, almost ritualistic, personal sacrifice. The maid, Gao Ma, arrives, sees his blood, and urges him to get medicine. Shangzi enters the study, feeling utterly out of place in the clean, orderly room, and quietly but firmly tells Cao Sanya, "Sir, please find someone else. Keep this month's wages to fix the rickshaw. The handle is broken, the left lamp's glass is shattered, other places are fine."
Taking responsibility to the extreme.
For Jiangzi, resigning and giving up his wages was almost like suicide. But his sense of responsibility and faith are more important than life itself because he injured Cao Sanya, a truly good man. If it were someone like the cruel Mrs. Yang, he'd be defiant because for him then, money was everything.
Different rules for different people?
His realization is chilling.
Hmm.
He vows never to pull a rickshaw again. He used to think it was his ideal job, his path to independence. Now he feels his whole life would be spent in a muddle. He realizes he could accidentally kill someone while pulling.
The danger becomes real.
His pride is utterly broken. He had always been a strong-willed person, willing to act shamelessly, like snatching fares to save for his own rickshaw. But now, having caused trouble while pulling for a monthly wage, he has nothing to say. He feels he must leave before Kausanya can even dismiss him. This moment is Shangzi's crucible. His ideals are being mercilessly forged and broken against the harsh anvil of reality and his deeply held sense of conscience. He's choosing to sacrifice his livelihood and dignity for the sake of his integrity.
But Cao Sanyi responds with genuine compassion, a rare balm in Jiangxi's world. He tells Jiangxi to watch up first, then says, "It's not your fault. They should have put a red lamp by the stones."
Kindness when he least expects it.
Gao Ma interjects, agreeing Jiangxi is embarrassed, but urges him not to make trouble, calling him like a child. She asks Mrs. Cao to reassure him. Mrs. Cao's simple words, "Hurry and wash up, I'm scared," referring to the sight of blood. Xiangxi finds a slight relief in being able to comfort Mrs. Cao by simply washing his face, something he can do in his helplessness.
A small act of agency.
Then Gao Ma, who embodies pure, unvarnished pragmatism born of hardship, offers him crucial, grounded advice. She follows him, advising him not to take it to heart. She talks about her own past experience quitting jobs due to her drunk husband, her own tempered nature now, and the practical pros and cons of staying with an employer like Cao's. Low tips, but good treatment.
The long view.
Exactly. She emphasizes the long-term view. Better to meet a kind master. If you work for a long time, even if the tips are less, you can still save some money. She urges him to stay, for his own practical good. You're still a young brother, easily angered. It's not worth it. Anger won't feed you. Someone as honest as you settling down here for a while is better than drifting around all over the place.
Sound advice, really.
It's profound insight, a stark challenge to Jiangxi's romanticized notions of self-sacrifice and pride, grounding him in the harsh realities of survival.
And her pragmatism slowly, painfully sinks in. His elbow still aches, he can't sleep, but as he processes her words, he begins to realize Gao Ma is right. Everything else is fake, only money is real.
A harsh truth.
Save money, buy a rickshaw, anger won't feed you. This cold, hard truth, surprisingly, brings him a measure of peace. Kaosani fixes the rickshaw and, with incredible kindness, doesn't deduct Xiangxi's wages. Xiangxi doesn't even eat the medicine given to him, dismissing the physical pain as secondary. He completely drops the idea of quitting.
Pragmatism wins.
Gao Ma's words, her practical wisdom, finally won. His life settles back into a comforting rhythm. He gradually forgets the accident, and all hope sprouted anew. When alone, his eyes gleam as he plans how to meticulously save money and buy a rickshaw, muttering to himself like he had a heart ailment. His calculations are simple, often just 6 times 6 is 36, which inexplicably comforts him, making him feel rich with future possibilities.
Finding hope in the numbers.
This demonstrates how even small, consistent routines can help rebuild hope after devastating setbacks, and how simple, tangible aspirations can bring a powerful surge of renewed motivation.
His admiration for Gao Ma only deepens. He finds her more perceptive and capable than ordinary men, recognizing that her words came from the root, from lived, hard-won experience. He actively seeks her out now, eager to listen to her wisdom about life and money. Her advice makes him think for half a day, wrestling with her hard-nosed truths.
But he's still cautious.
Very. While he appreciates her tricks, he's not daring enough to blindly follow her advice on managing his own money. He prefers to not easily let go of money, favoring a cautious adherence to his own methods, a testament to his ingrained self-reliance.
Holding on to control.
Gao Ma, meanwhile, has her own shrewd business. She lends her leftover monthly money, even small amounts to servants, low-ranking police, small vendors at a minimum of 3% interest. These people are desperate for money, even if the interest is high. Her rationale, born from her own desperate experience borrowing money at high interest for her drunk husband, is that this method is reasonable and almost like emergency charity.
A justification.
Yeah, it's harsh truth. Zhou Yu fights Huang Gai, both sides willing, a Chinese idiom meaning both parties are willing participants, even in a painful exchange. Her ruthlessness is a necessary survival mechanism. She believes she must be fierce to prevent losses, like a bank manager needing more caution. She sees society as a fine, large sieve, sifting money downwards, where principles are equally abundant if one knows how to grasp them.
Wow, a tough philosophy.
This portrays Gauma as embodying a harsh, almost capitalistic pragmatism born from the lowest rungs of society. Her charity is a business, and her fierceness, a survival mechanism, vividly highlighting the brutal economic realities faced by the poor, where even small amounts of money wield immense power.
She certainly navigates a harsh world with unblinking realism, and she advises Shangzi, knowing his dream, to lend his money out, applying her own principles. Tell you, Shangzi, if it stays in your pocket, 1 coin will always be 1 coin. If you lend it out, money will make money.
The principle of investment.
She even offers to help, explaining how to deal with defaulting borrowers. Zhangzi's resistance is subtle but firm. His expression reveals admiration, but when alone, he firmly believes money in his own hand was more secure than anything.
Tangible security.
It might be dead money, not earning interest, but it won't get lost. He handles his few yuan, his precious silver dollars, carefully, almost reverently, afraid of their sound, seeing them as white, bright, thick, eye-catching, and must not be let go of unless to buy a rickshaw.
His ultimate goal.
He recalls a family he once worked for, where everyone had a postal savings book. Mrs. Feng urged him to open one. 1 yuan is enough to open a book. Young and strong. It's easy, reliable, gives interest. Why not? But Jiangxi's suspicion runs deep. He looked at the small book with words and small red seals. He saw it as a trick, or must be a trick.
Mistrust of institutions.
White silver dollars go in, and it's just a few strokes on paper. He even suspects the Fang family is connected to the post office, which he views as a very old business, trying to pull in new, unsuspecting customers. Banks, for him, are only abstract places where he can sometimes find customers if the police don't stop him. He can't even guess what they do inside. He believes it's best to rob a bank if one were a bandit. Otherwise, keep your own money. He thinks this is the most seasoned method.
Wow, that's extreme.
This highlights the profound mistrust of abstract systems banks, savings accounts, by someone who relies solely on tangible physical assets. For Shangzi, money is real only when it's in his hand, a testament to his ingrained self-reliance and the inherent vulnerability of the poor to complex financial schemes they just don't understand.
Precisely. Gao Ma, ever resourceful, then proposes the Hui idea, a cooperative savings group, knowing Zhangzi's fierce desire for his own rickshaw. She suggests 10 or at most 20 people, 2 yuan each a month, and you take the first turn. This would give him 40-odd yuan immediately.
A quick injection of cash.
With his existing savings, he could get a rickshaw and start pulling. After that, she explains, he could even run a black label Hui, which means no interest for others, making it a truly honorable way to continue the group. Shangzi's heart beat faster. This could potentially get him 80-odd yuan, enough for an 80% new rickshaw, and it might even help him get his money back from Lu Sai. Very. But his hesitation is strong. Where to find 20 trustworthy people? It's a matter of face, a public commitment, and Hui often collapse in hard times, leaving participants stranded, risk involved. A hero doesn't beg others, he thinks. He ultimately decides to rely on himself. If it's my fate to buy a rickshaw, I'll buy it. I won't beg anyone.
Sticking to his principles.
Gao Ma, seeing his lack of a strong response, wisely refrains from teasing him, noting his stubborn straightforwardness. Zhangzi nods to himself as if admitting his stubborn grip was admirable, feeling quite happy in his self-reliance. This reveals that recurring theme. Shangzi's unwavering commitment to individual effort and self-reliance, even when presented with seemingly faster or less risky paths. He values fierce independence over perceived communal risk, a characteristic that will prove both his greatest strength and ultimately his tragic flaw.
And it's this steadfast self-reliance that leads to a rather charming yet poignant detail. As early winter sets in, he hears vendors selling roasted chestnuts and peanuts, and then, a surprising sight, night chamber pots. He buys a large, dull gourd pot, and because the vendor can't make change, he also buys a small, interesting green urinal. With a practical generosity, he gives the small green urinal to Cao Sanye's young son, Xiaowen, who is bathing. Everyone laughs, but Shangzi, ever earnest, interprets their smiles as appreciation for his goodwill, completely missing Gao Ma's teasing. Look, really, Shangzi, such a big man, coming up with such a brilliant idea, how unsightly.
Oh, Zhangzi.
Clueless sometimes.
Xiaowen, delighted, uses it as a small teapot. Everyone laughs harder. Shangzi, pleased, leaves. His ritual, a testament to his determination, solidifies. He takes out his silver dollars, and gently puts them into the dull gourd pot one by one, thinking, this is more reliable than anything.
His personal bank. When it's full, he'll smash it open, and silver dollars will be more abundant than broken tiles. This humble little green urinal and the dull gourd pot become whimsical yet deeply symbolic, vessels for his hopes and hard-won savings. He reaffirms his determination not to ask anyone for help anymore. Even Lucai, though reliable, feels awkward. Money, like a ring, is best on one's own hand. This decision brings him a tangible sense of satisfaction, his belt tightened by one notch, allowing his chest to stand straighter and harder, as if his resolve itself lends him physical strength.
This deepened resolve carries him through the biting cold, which Xiangzi doesn't even seem to feel. With a definite purpose in his heart, his eyes are filled with light, literally dispelling the cold. He loves his early morning runs. Even in strong winds, he pushes forward like a large fish swimming against the current, battling the wind, feeling invincible. He watches the wind sweep past him, then nods in silent triumph. In a tailwind, the wind pushes his rickshaw like a good friend.
Finding strength in the struggle.
But then he observes the old and weak rickshaw pullers, their tattered clothes, shivering bodies, their eyes like thieves, desperate for fares. Their sweat freezes on their backs. They struggle against the wind, enduring immense hardship for a few copper coins.
A grim picture.
Their plight is stark and brutal. They barely earn enough for a meal, yet they have families to support. In winter, they are living in hell, more burdened than ghosts, their greatest peace being dying on the street like a dog.
Horrifying reality.
Zhangzi sees their suffering, but, in his self-absorption, has no time to worry or think for them. Their misery is his, but he is young and strong, fearless of cold or wind. He has a clean place to stay at night and neat clothes during the day. He sees himself as separate. Exactly. He believes his current superiority can guarantee future victory. He sees himself as fundamentally different, much like car drivers who don't associate with rickshaw pullers. Each person, in his view, is blinded by their own hopes and efforts, believing they can succeed alone. Xiangzi doesn't think about others, doesn't care about others. He only thinks about his own money and future success.
Oh, that's dangerous thinking.
This passage is chillingly prophetic. Xiangzi's unwavering belief in his superiority and individual effort, while understandable given his desperate circumstances, tragically blind him to the systemic nature of their shared suffering. It sets him on a path of isolation that will ultimately leave him profoundly vulnerable.
As the year progresses towards the new year, Jiangzi feels a brief spark of joy, a flicker of renewed optimism. The streets fill with New Year pictures, gauze lanterns, red candles, silk flowers, honey offerings, creating a joyful but uneasy atmosphere, that collective tension before the holidays.
Anticipation in the air.
Jiangzi's eyes brighten, anticipating gifts from the Cao family, a few mao for wine, plus a fixed 2 yuan festival bonus, and 2 or 3 mao for escorting visitors. All these bits and pieces will meticulously go into his dull gourd pot, which won't wrong anyone. He coaxes it, whispering, eat plenty, partner. When you've eaten enough, I'll be all set."
Talking to his money pot.
He's definitely on the happy side, anticipating the bustling streets, festive sounds, the promise of more money and good food. He even hatches a strategic plan for Lucai. He decides to spend a yuan or so on a gift, to apologize for not visiting, and to conveniently ask for his 30-odd yuan back.
A calculated move.
It's a worthwhile expense, a small investment to secure his larger sum. He shakes his pot, imagining the heavy sound of the accumulated money. Yes, as long as he got that sum back, he would have nothing to worry about. This is the calm before the storm, isn't it? A poignant moment of hope. Jiangzi, buoyed by a sense of control over his money and a clear, well-reasoned plan, feels on the very cusp of realizing his long-held dream. But fate and who knew have profoundly different plans for him.
And that carefully constructed plan, that fragile sense of control, is just shattered in an instant. One evening, as Yangzi is shaking his money pot, Gao Ma calls him, her voice laced with urgency. "Yangzi, there's a young lady looking for you at the door. I just came back from the street and she was asking about you." She adds in a conspiratorial whisper, "She looks like a big black tower. Quite scary."
"Oh no, you know who it is."
Immediately, Jiangzi's reaction is immediate and visceral. His face suddenly turned red as if wrapped in fire, his gut telling him things are going to go bad. This is the critical moment. The external threat, personified by Hunyu, invades Yangzi's carefully constructed internal world. Gao Ma's ominous description of Hunyu, even before he sees her, signifies the overwhelming, almost supernatural force she represents, poised to destroy his fragile peace.
His fear is so paralyzing he almost didn't have the strength to step out, yet he forces himself, seeing Hunyo under the streetlight. Her face, probably powdered, looks an unsettling grayish-green like a frost-covered, withered black leaf. He dares not look her directly in the eye.
That description.
Huni's expression is a complex mix. Her eyes show longing, her mouth a cold smile, her nose wrinkled in disdain and eagerness. She's both bewitching and domineering. She clears her throat, suppressing her emotions, and with Lu-Sai's air of command, says sarcastically, "You're doing well. A meat bun thrown to a dog, once gone, never returns."
Ouch. Bitter.
Her voice is loud, reminiscent of her arguments with rickshaw pullers, but a flicker of shame quickly crosses her face, revealing a hint of her own vulnerability, perhaps. Zhang Zi's quiet command, "Don't shout," is soft but powerful, born of desperate fear. But Huni's volume escalates. She laughs maliciously but lowers her voice slightly. "No wonder you're avoiding me. Turns out there's a little vixen of a maid here. I knew you were no good. Don't let that big, dull, rough appearance fool you. You're a fake simpleton."
Accusations flying.
Her voice rises again, accusatory. Zhang Zi's plea is desperate. "Don't shout." He fears Gama listening. "Come this way." He walks to the street. She follows, still resisting verbally but obeying his unspoken urgency. By the red wall of the park, Zhang Zi squats, that familiar country habit seeking comfort in the earth. "What are you doing here?" he asks.
Getting straight to it.
Huniu's reply is coy. "Me? Humph, I have many things to do." She puts her hand on her hip, her belly protruding slightly. She looks at him, then says softly with a hint of pity, "Zhang Zi, I have something important to tell you." The tender Zhang Zi in her voice momentarily calms his anger. He looks at her. She's still unattractive, but that single word Zhang Zi resonates, stirring an undeniable, inseparable affection. He asks, his voice barely a whisper, "What is it?"
The tone shift is manipulative.
And then the revelation that irrevocably shatters his world. Hunia moves closer. "I've got it." He's utterly confused. She points to her belly. "This." Then, with a chilling finality, "You make the decision."
Boom. The bombshell.
Zhang Zi gasps and suddenly understood everything. A myriad of unthought of things rushed into his mind, coming so many, so fast, so chaotic, that his mind suddenly became a blank.
System overload.
The street is quiet, the moon obscured by clouds. A cat wails in the distance, a mournful sound. He is oblivious to it all, staring blankly at the ground, feeling himself getting smaller and smaller, his entire life now fixated on this discomfort. He feels a profound cold, his lips trembling uncontrollably. This sudden manipulative reveal doesn't just alter Zhang Zi's carefully constructed world, it utterly demolishes his sense of self and agency. What remains of his independence now?
His numbness in that moment is Huni's ultimate opportunity. She, impatient, urges him to speak or stand up. They walk north, but he's still in a daze, numb. She then cunningly lays out her elaborate plan, revealing her precise knowledge of Lu-Sai's birthday on the 27th.
She's thought this through.
Oh yeah. Zhang Zi's feeble protest is almost an afterthought. Busy. End of the year. Huni's aggression returns, sharp and calculated. "I know you're a tough nut to crack. Trying to be nice to you is useless." Her voice rises, dominant. "Do you think I'm afraid of anyone? What do you plan to do? If you don't listen to me, I don't have time to waste my spit. If things go wrong, I'll stand outside your mansion and curse for 3 days and 3 nights. I can find you anywhere. I don't care about anything."
Whoa, the threats! Full force!
Zhang Zi's desperation is palpable. "Will you stop shouting?" Huni's taunt cuts deep. "Afraid of shouting? Then don't take advantage of me in the first place. You've had your fun letting me get to the black pot alone. You don't even bother to look at my damn skin to see who I am."
Twisting it back on him.
Zhang Zi's surrender is complete. "Speak slowly. I'm listening." He feels hot, humiliated by the scolding. Huniu then presents her meticulously crafted, good idea. She stops, facing him squarely. "Look, if you ask a matchmaker to propose, the old man will never agree. He ties rickshaws. You pull them. He won't marry down."
The class difference.
Her determination is absolute. "I don't care. I like you, isn't that enough? Who cares about anything else? No matchmaker will work for me. If someone proposes, the old man will think they're after dozens of rickshaws. Even someone of higher status than you won't work. I have to handle this myself. I've chosen you. We'll act first and report later. Anyway, I'm already pregnant. Neither of us can escape."
Taking complete control.
She then details the intricate scheme to win Lu-Sai over, emphasizing the need for caution. They can't just tell him directly. He's getting more confused with age. If they tell him abruptly, he might marry a young wife and force her out, leaving Huniu destitute. Her precise plan unfolds. On the 27th, Lu-Sai's birthday, Zhang Zi must kowtow to him, After the new year, he'll visit again to win further favor. Then, at an opportune moment, they'll get Lu Sai drunk and strike while the iron is hot, by formally recognizing him as his godfather.
Well, layers upon layers.
Later, Hunyu will slowly let him know she's pregnant. She'll be evasive when questioned, then cleverly name Kyo Heir, a deceased shopkeeper with no living relatives, as the father. Lu Sai will be utterly at a loss, and they'll slowly suggest giving Hunyu to Jiangzi, his godson, who can then become his son-in-law.
So convoluted.
It's pushing the boat along the current, she concludes, saving everyone from embarrassment. This detailed plan reveres Hunyu's sharp intellect, her ruthless pragmatism, and her utter determination. She's not just trapping Jiangzi. She's calculating every single step to secure her future, using his simple nature against him and leveraging deeply ingrained societal expectations to her advantage.
Jiangzi has nothing to say. He's utterly speechless, crushed by the weight of her detailed scheme. Hunyu, basking in the success of her masterful plan, walks north, giving Jiangzi time to absorb the blow. They reach the north end of the street. The wind blows, and the moon, now visible through the clouds, illuminates the frozen imperial river and the ancient walls of the Forbidden City. The scenery is lonely and desolate, making Jiangzi shiver with a cold that has nothing to do with the outside temperature.
The setting matches his mood.
His internal struggle mirrors this frozen, stark landscape. He wants to jump into the frozen river and sink like a dead fish frozen in the ice, a desperate, suicidal escape from a predicament he sees no way out of. "I'll see you tomorrow," he suddenly blurts, turning back abruptly, unable to endure another moment. Hunyu's parting shot is chillingly calm. "Jiangzi, that's how it is. See you on the 27th. See you there." She sighs contentedly and walks west.
Just seals the deal.
His internal world, suffocated and frozen, reflects the stark desolation around him. He feels trapped, with nowhere to go. The image of the frozen river embodies his desperate desire for an escape from an inescapable predicament.
But the trap isn't fully sprung until Hunyu delivers the final cruel blow. Jiangzi runs back, frantic, nearly crashing into the city wall, the physical exertion mirroring his internal chaos. He leans against it, feeling an overwhelming urge to cry. Then, Hunyu's voice calls, clear and insistent. "Jiangzi, Jiangzi, come here! Jiangzi!" From the bridge.
"What now?"
She meets him, holding out his 30-odd yuan you saved, plus a few mao made up to a full yuan.
"Yeah."
"Here," she says, her voice a twisted parody of concern. "Not for anything else, just to show my heart. I care about you, I love you, I protect you. Don't say anything else, just don't be ungrateful."
"Oh my God, the money!"
Jiangzi takes the money, a wad of banknotes, speechless, stunned. Hunyu's last words, as she leaves, laughing triumphantly, are, "All right, see you on the 27th. Don't miss it. It's your game. You calculate it yourself."
It's his game. Horrifying.
Jiangzi stands there in a daze, clutching the money, staring at her until she disappears. The moon is obscured, the bridge exceptionally white, empty, cold. He walks back like a madman, the cold, stark image of the bridge burned into his mind. In his room, he counts the money repeatedly, his hands sweaty, then almost mechanically puts it into his pot. He stares at the pot, trying to force his mind blank. With money, there's a way, he tells himself, desperately clinging to the illusion.
False hope.
He believes the pot will solve everything. The river, the mountain, the pagoda, the bridge, Hunyu, the belly. All were dreams. When the dream ended, there were over 30 yuan more in the money pot. Real. He hides the pot, intending to sleep. Even the greatest difficulties could be slept through, to be dealt with tomorrow. But the solace of sleep eludes him. His thoughts swarm like a nest of bees, each with a sting. He realizes with crushing certainty that Hunyu has blocked all paths. He has no way to escape.
Yeah, the money sealed it.
The return of the money, seemingly again, is actually the final nail in the coffin. It removes his last moral justification for leaving and binds him even more tightly to Hunyu, who now holds his financial future and his reputation hostage. It solidifies his feeling of being trapped without any escape.
Under this irresistible pressure, he considers the impossible, leaving Beiping, but he quickly realizes he can't. He'd even guard the White Pagoda in Beihai, just not return to the countryside or another city. He cannot leave. He wishes to die here, a desperate prayer.
Tied to the place.
Hunyu's power over him is now absolute. Since he can't leave, he must face her. She says what she means and means what she says. If he doesn't follow her plan, she'll keep bothering him, relentless and unforgiving. If he truly angers her, she'll involve Lu Sai, who, with his formidable influence, could even have him killed.
High stakes, life and death.
He feels like he's fallen into a trap, his limbs clamped with no viable escape. He can't logically pick apart her arguments, feeling her intricate fishing net has no escape for even a tiny fish. All this psychological and emotional pressure compresses into a 1,000-ton gate, crushing him completely. The devastating insight for Xiangzi. A rickshaw puller's destiny is ultimately summed up in two bitter words: bad luck.
Fatalism sets in.
A rickshaw puller, he realizes, should do nothing, not even get involved with women. One entanglement leads to a monumental mistake. Lu Sai wields his rickshaws, his financial power, and Huni wields her stinky something, her pregnancy and sexuality, to bully him into submission. The choice before him is stark, brutal. If he decides to accept his fate, fine, go kowtow and acknowledge a godfather, then wait to marry that ugly monster. If he doesn't accept his fate, he'll have to risk his life.
An impossible choice.
This forces us to grapple with the fundamental question: is fate truly unavoidable in Xiangzi's world, or is this simply his interpretation of profoundly limited choices, a tragic surrender disguised as revelation?
His revelation spirals into almost nihilistic despair. It's not just Hunyu's fierceness, but the rickshaw puller's fate is just like this. A predetermined path, like a dog that must be beaten and bullied. Even children will hit it for no reason.
Dehumanizing.
He despairs. What's such a life for? He decides, in a moment of defiant abandon, to simply give up. He kicks off his blanket and sits up. He decides to get some liquor and get roaring drunk, giving in to despair. He curses, what's business, what's rules, the very fabric of the world he tried so hard to conform to. Drunk, sleep. The 27th, I won't go kowtow on the 28th either. Let's see what anyone can do to Xiangzi, he declares, a desperate cry of rebellion.
A futile gesture.
He grabs his cotton coat and a rice bowl and runs out into the night. The wind is stronger, the moon small, and he shivers. The street is empty except for a few rickshaws and shivering pullers, mirroring his own cold despair. He buys baijiu and peanuts, then rushes back to bed, seeking oblivion. But the cold truth hits him again. The biting cold wakes him up. The alcohol smell is suddenly unpleasant, sickening. He's too lazy to move, his heart no longer warm with false bravado.
The escape didn't work.
A flicker of self-preservation, a desperate impulse to survive, ignites. Lying there, he looks at the wine. No, he cannot destroy himself with that entanglement, cannot break his abstinence from alcohol. Things are impossibly difficult, but there must be a crack for him to slip through, a faint glimmer of hope. Even if there's no escape, he shouldn't wallow in the mud himself. He must keep his eyes open, clearly watching how others push him down.
Holding on to some shred of dignity.
The final act is a desperate compromise, a surrender to the inevitable, yet with eyes wide open. He turns off the light, covers his head with the blanket, trying to sleep. Still unable, he lifts the blanket. The window paper is bluish from the moonlight. He smells the cold and the lingering alcohol. He sits up, grabs the wine, and swallows a large gulp. A final, bitter acceptance.
Wow.
This descent into self-destructive despair, followed by that faint flicker of self-preservation, is the ultimate manifestation of his internal conflict. He's wrestling with the very idea of agency in a world that feels completely predetermined.
He's utterly stuck, caught in an emotional and existential quagmire. Xiangzi isn't clever enough for individual solutions or bold enough for a complete reckoning with his fate. So he has no way out, filled with overwhelming grievances. Like a cricket whose legs have fallen off, he just wants to crawl forward, no longer thinking of leaping to escape. The 27th, the day of Lu Sai's birthday, consumes him, fixating on it as a magical solution, even though he knows, deep down, it's nothing but self-deception.
Clinging to a date.
He conjures desperate fantasies of escape. Going to Tianjin, perhaps changing professions entirely, believing Hunio couldn't possibly follow him there. But he knows in his conscience that abandoning Beiping is a last resort, a true surrender. So his thoughts inevitably return to the 27th, hoping to simply get through this hurdle. This brings him to a powerful recurring image, the circular alley.
That image again.
He has two distinct ideas for confronting his predicament. Ignore Hunyu and not go to the birthday, or follow her instructions precisely. Both lead to the same inescapable result. Hunyu won't let him go. He remembers getting lost in a circular alley as a rickshaw puller, always returning to the same spot no matter how he turned. Now he feels he's entered such a small alley again. Wherever he goes, the result is the same.
The feeling of being trapped, visualized.
Yeah. This recurring motif of the circular alley powerfully conveys Yangzi's profound entrapment. No matter how he struggles, he finds himself back where he started, suggesting a predetermined fate or perhaps a tragic inability to truly break free from his circumstances. He tries desperately to swallow the bitter pill. What's so bad about marrying her, really? But the thought leaves him utterly suffocated. Her appearance, her aggressive behavior, the idea of marrying such damaged goods after his years of strong will and integrity. He couldn't face anyone, not even his parents after death.
The shame is too great.
He even questions if the child is truly his. And above all, he fears Lisai. He knows Hu Niu is simply too strong for him. To start a family, he concludes, with stark finality. He absolutely cannot have her, there's nothing else to say. Marrying her means losing himself, sacrificing his very identity and all his cherished ideals.
Unable to deal with Hu Niu, he turns his raw anger inward, hating himself, wanting to slap himself. But then a glimmer of clarity. He realizes he hasn't actually done anything wrong. Everything was arranged by her, a meticulously laid trap just waiting for him to fall. His flaw, he believes, is being too honest, and honesty will definitely suffer losses in this cruel world.
Blaming his own nature.
What makes it all the more tragic is his profound isolation. He has no one to confide in, no one to share his grievances with. He has no parents, no siblings, no friends. He used to think of himself as a good man, head in the sky, feet on the ground, without a single worry. Now the crushing realization dawns. A person cannot live alone.
A painful realization.
He longs desperately for fellow rickshaw pullers, believing they would offer advice and support, a true collective. He feels a new, chilling fear. Everyone would bully him. Being alone, he couldn't stand up to heaven. This fear makes him doubt his very essence. He used to proudly carry his coal carbide lamp water bottle against his chest in winter, seeing it as a superior act of self-reliance. Now, earning little and suffering all the hardship, his broad chest feels less valuable than a small bottle.
Questioning his own worth.
He used to see rickshaw pulling as his ideal, a straightforward path to building a family. Now, he secretly shakes his head. It's no wonder Hu Niu bullies him. He's not even as good as a small water bottle.
Utter self-deprecation.
This is a profound aha moment for Jiangzi. His rigid individualism, once his defining strength, has become his greatest vulnerability. He realizes the crushing weight of isolation in a world where collective struggle might be the only way to survive. His previous pride now feels like foolishness.
And it's in this critical moment of dawning realization that he finds himself in a small tea house, waiting for Cao Sunye. It's extremely cold outside, but inside, the windows are sealed, thick with coal gas, sweat, and cheap cigarette smoke. The windows are frosted with condensation.
Thick atmosphere.
The tea house is mostly filled with monthly hire rickshaw drivers. Some doze, some drink baijiu, making loud, boisterous noises. Some eat large, simple flatbreads. Others complain incessantly about their long hours, being wet and dry, dry and wet, countless times, their bodies constantly battling the elements.
Shared misery.
Their collective grievances spark a chain reaction. Everyone wants to share their daily hardships, their shared misery. Xiangzi listens intently, silent, absorbing every word. Their words, though varied in tone and fact, are all curses and injustices. They fall on his heart like raindrops on parched earth, soaking up all the bitterness. He can't articulate his own, but he finds a strange, profound solace in their shared suffering.
Finding connection in pain.
He frowns at the sad parts, grimaces at the funny ones, feeling one with them, truly fellow sufferers. He used to dismiss them as merely gossiping. Today, for the first time, he realizes they are speaking for him, articulating his and all rickshaw pullers' hardships.
A moment of solidarity.
This scene marks a powerful, empathetic shift for Jiangzi. He moves from self-pity and isolation to a dawning awareness of a collective identity and shared struggle. It's a moment of profound empathy, finally breaking through his singular, self-focused worldview.
Then the door opens abruptly, letting in a blast of bitter, cold air. A man in his 50s enters, wearing a tattered cotton jacket. His face is filthy, ears frozen a raw red. His hair is matted under a broken cap, with ice beads on his brows and beard, a stark image of hardship.
Life worn on his face.
He collapses onto a bench, barely managing to say, brew a pot. This tea house is typically for monthly hire drivers, and this old man, a private owner, would never enter on a normal day, indicating his desperation. The collective silence that falls is striking. No one makes fun of him, a stark contrast to the usual boisterous banter. They feel a deeper meaning in his presence than their own complaints.
They see themselves.
This is our example, they silently acknowledge. When our hair turns white, each of us will have a fate of falling dead. Before his tea is even served, the old man's head sinks and he slides off the bench, collapsing.
Oh my God.
Everyone rushes forward asking what's wrong. The tea house owner, experienced in such scenes, tells them to stop. He helps the old man up, supports him with a chair, and orders sugar water. He listens to his neck, muttering, "Not phlegm." The old man awakens, sips the sugar water, opens his eyes, realizes he's on the floor, and tries to stand. He thanks them very gently and kindly. His face is dirty, but his smile reveals a kind and clean face beneath the grime.
Humanity beneath the hardship.
The middle-aged man offers him wine. The old man, 55, recounts his story. Son went to be a soldier and never returned. Daughter-in-law. But his young grandson, Xiaoma, thin-faced, round-bodied, with a red nose and snot, wearing ear warmers, interrupts him. Don't say that.
Protecting the family shame.
The old man explains his son left, his daughter-in-law left, and he and Xiaoma now live entirely off his rickshaw. It's broken, but it's ours, so no rickshaw fees. However much we earn, we too live a bitter life, no choice. Xiaoma, with a child's stark practicality, reminds him they need money for coal tomorrow, blaming him for refusing a fare earlier. The old man's solution: he'll borrow 5 caddies of coal balls and some kindling.
Survival day by day.
They leave, the old man and Xiaoma, to pull one last fare, watched in solemn silence by the other drivers. This intensely emotional scene powerfully highlights the stark realities of poverty and the strong unspoken bonds of camaraderie among those who suffer together. The old man and Xiaoma represent the potential grim future for every rickshaw puller, a future of endless grinding struggle, even for the owners of their own rickshaws.
Xianzi stands blankly, utterly transfixed, watching the old man and Xiaoma and their broken rickshaw disappear into the cold. He feels a never-before-experienced discomfort, a profound empathy. In Xiaoma, he sees his own past. In the old man, he sees, with terrifying clarity, his own future.
The illusion shattered.
His greatest hope shatters in that instant the old man's rickshaw was his own. He realizes with devastating finality that owning a rickshaw doesn't guarantee escape from this relentless, miserable life. Look at that old man, he thinks, his aspirations turning to bitter ash.
The ultimate disillusionment.
The futility of his entire ideal is devastating. His furious refusal of Hunyu was fundamentally tied to his dream of buying his own rickshaw and marrying a pure and innocent girl. But seeing Xiaoma, he realizes even if he had a son, it might not be different. Acceptance of fate, a bitter, weary resignation finally settles in. His struggle against Hunyu now seems utterly pointless. Anyway, he couldn't jump out of the circle, he concludes. What kind of woman couldn't he marry?
Giving up the fight.
Hunyu, perhaps, might even bring more rickshaws, and an easier path. Why not enjoy a few days of ready-made good fortune? His resignation is complete. Having seen himself clearly, there was no need to look down on others. Hunyu is Hunyu, let's say nothing more. As the tragic realization settles, he prepares his rickshaw. He takes off his cotton jacket, wanting to run, to run away from everything, even to run to his death.
A desperate final act.
This is the ultimate heartbreaking surrender. Xiangzi, realizing the profound futility of his individual ambition against the overwhelming systemic forces of fate and circumstance, gives up on his cherished ideals. The dream of owning his own rickshaw, once a radiant symbol of freedom and dignity, is now a hollow, shattered shell.
Yet even in this profound despair, there's maybe a flicker of something more. He tries to sleep but can't. Thoughts, relentless and stinging, swarm like a swarm of bees, each with a sting. He cannot escape Hunyu. His desperate wish is to simply guard the white pagoda, anything but return to the countryside, anything but face this life. He wants, with desperate longing, to die right here in Beiping.
Bound to the city, even in misery.
The choice before him is brutally clear. Since he won't leave, he must face her. He must be real with her, accept his fate. But he knows, if she gets truly angry, Lu Sai, her formidable father, could even have him killed. The destiny of a rickshaw puller, he feels, is summed up in 2 crushing words: bad luck. He feels like he's fallen into an unbreakable trap, his limbs clamped, with no escape. He can't logically pick apart her cunning ideas, feeling caught in a fishing net from which not even an inch-long fish can escape. The pressure is immense, a 1,000-ton weight.
Crushing him.
And in a final act of defiance, or perhaps just reckless despair, he kicks off his blanket, sits up. He decides to drink, to forget all rules and dignity. He goes to buy alcohol. But the cold air, the strong baijiu, they offer no true solace. He tries to convince himself not to destroy himself for this entanglement. There must be a crack for him to slip through, he whispers to himself, a tiny glimmer of hope.
Still fighting in a way.
Maybe. Even if there's no grand escape, he shouldn't wallow in the mud himself. He must keep his eyes open, clearly watching how others push him down. He can't sleep. He sits up, grabs the bowl of baijiu, and swallows a large gulp. The final surrender, or defiance. It's so ambiguous. This profound and unsettling ending showcases the human spirit pushed to its absolute breaking point. It's not a clear resolution, but a stark portrait of one man's struggle against overwhelming odds, caught between desperate resignation and a desperate, fleeting impulse for defiance. It suggests that sometimes the only way forward is through, even if the path is one of bitter, defiant acceptance.
So, what does this all mean for Zhangzi, and maybe more importantly for you, our listener? We've unpacked Zhangzi's agonizing journey from stubborn self reliance to a crushing, yet perhaps clarifying, realization of his place in the world. His story is a poignant exploration of how deeply individual dreams can be battered by relentless societal forces and the complex, often cruel realities of survival. Zhangzi's journey forces us to confront a vital question. When does individual perseverance transform into futile obstinacy? And when does accepting fate become its own form of strength, or simply an agonizing surrender? How do we distinguish between the two in our own lives?
Building on that, Shanxi's story really transcends the specific setting of rickshaws in old Beijing. It speaks to the universal human struggle for dignity, agency, and hope in the face of overwhelming odds. His experience raises a deeply important question for all of us. When you find yourself caught in your own circular alley, that inescapable predicament, how do you decide between fighting to the last breath, seeking communal solace, or maybe finding a bitter peace in resignation?